Listen to me, my friend. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to acknowledge your accomplishments. But how you do it matters, and why you do it matters. Hey, friend, welcome back to the Diet Haters Podcast, Season 2. I'm your host, Sundi Joe, loser of 145 pounds, who's passionate about helping you learn how to stop dieting, find lasting weight loss results, and learn your true identity in Christ. I've been out for a bit due to recovering from surgery, and so first of all, I just want to say thank you for your patience, and thank you for your grace as you wait for more episodes of this podcast. And secondly, I am excited to be back. We're going to cover some great topics this season, and so I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Today, we're going to talk about something that we've probably all dealt with at one time or another: emotional eating. This is a topic that I don't think we can ever talk too much about, for sure. You know, it's so easy for us to find ourselves in the emotional eating boat, right? Something goes wrong in our life. We start believing a lie the enemy's telling us. We believe a lie someone else has told us. We have a bad day at our jobs, in our marriages, with our kids, you name it, right? Food becomes an easy distraction. It becomes our savior, really, from emotions that we either don't want to feel or think that eating will help us feel through those emotions. But here's the deal. And let me just say, I am pointing 3 fingers back at myself for the 1 finger I'm pointing at you while I say this. Until we deal with what's really going on in our hearts and our minds, we're never going to overcome emotional eating. I'm going to say that again. Until we deal with what's really going on in our hearts and our minds, we're never going to overcome emotional eating. We're never going to truly find freedom on our health journeys. When we get to the root of the issue and allow Jesus to heal the broken places of our hearts, that's when everything changes. That's when we really lose the weight, and that's when we really get healthy, not just physically. So, today we're going to talk about 4 signs that you may be emotionally eating. First, though, I just want to say thank you for joining me here at the Diet Haters Podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to allow me to share what I know with you, and for making time for us to learn and grow together. And I also want to just say, if you've shared this podcast with your friends, thank you, because every time you share an episode or just the Diet Haters Podcast as a whole with somebody else, you are helping to change the lives around you. And I am beyond grateful for that, seriously. So thank you so, so much for that. All right, so now I've said all that, let's dive in. So, number 1 sign that you may be emotionally eating is eating when you're not hungry. I just said that, and for some reason, I just totally got Jeff Foxworthy in my head. And if you know who I'm talking about, you know his series, right? You might be a redneck if. I just had this pop through my head. Maybe we should turn this episode into a you might be emotionally eating if. And okay, I laugh at myself, so whatever. But if you don't know who Jeff Foxworthy is and you don't know you might be a redneck if, please, please, please do yourself a favor and go watch it on YouTube. YouTube. It's funny, okay? Do yourself a favor and do it. Anyway, back to eating when you're not hungry. So, when you are stuffing food in your face and you're not even hungry, you might be emotionally eating. And I would say there's about a 95% chance that there is probably another issue going on in your heart. Now, I'll say this, that 95% that I just came up with, it is not scientific research, okay? It is a guesstimate based on my own life, based on the things that I have seen in others. And I would probably actually say the percentage is probably higher, but I'll give us some breathing room in that. So let's use an example. Let's use boredom as an example. So how many times have you been sitting there watching TV and you know you're not hungry at all, but you want to get up and you want to eat anyway? And so you start pilfering through the pantry to see what you can find. What if, and again, preaching this to myself, what if we stopped before we made that decision and really asked ourselves, why am I eating right now? Is it really because I'm bored, or is it because there's something else I'm not really wanting to think about right now? Those are important questions to ask ourselves. Is there an unfilled desire in your life that you've just maybe, pushed back? So instead of allowing yourself to think about it, you run to food and you disguise it with boredom. Maybe there's something you're afraid of trying and it's easier to grab something to eat and say, I'm bored. It's probably easier to do that than to acknowledge perhaps the fear that is there, right? Sometimes we just need to be bored. But most times we really need to ask ourselves if that's the truth or if it's just an excuse not to deal with the real junk. When you start to run to the fridge because you're wanting to eat out of boredom, consider stepping back for a minute and asking yourself some questions. And ask the Lord to show you if there's something going on in your heart. What is really happening? Is there something I'm missing out on and I'm trying to fill the void with food? Did I have an emotional day at work, but I've just been suppressing it all day? What is the truth about this situation? What's at the root of what's really going on here? Ask yourself those questions. We can't truly change our situations until we really know what is going on. And guess what? It is okay for you to feel bored, but make sure that that is what you are really feeling. Okay. All right. Number 2, not stopping when you're full. So I'm just going to confess here right now that this is a struggle for me and I am still learning how to get this one down, okay? There are several different reasons that we do this. One being because we don't want to waste food. That's a really big reason. And a lot of us were brought up with the you're not getting up from this table until you eat everything mentality, right? Raise your hand if that was ever you. Don't raise your hand if you're driving. Although that was never me. I never struggled with that. I do not recall anyone having to tell me to finish my plate ever. But we get this idea, right, that we don't want to be wasteful. So instead of figuring out how much food we really need, we just overeat. And I think if we were to sit down and calculate how much money it actually costs when we do this, we would be very unpleasantly surprised. We don't want to waste, right? But in reality, we're spending more than we should because we genuinely do not need that much food. And, really, it's not our fault. So we've been conditioned for this. Go to just about any restaurant in America and you'll see the servings are ridiculous, right? Do we really need a 10-ounce steak, a baked potato, a salad, green beans? No, we don't need all that food. Our bodies don't need that much food in a serving unless we are the Liver King. Now, I know I had to mention that. I had to mention the Liver King. If you probably have no idea what that is, but this guy, y'all, he blows my mind. You've got to check him out on Instagram. Liver King. Look up the Liver King. I think he's absolutely crazy, but he entertains me. I seriously cannot stop watching him. And he eats in one setting what some of us eat in 3 days. Like, I am not kidding, but the guy is he works out, okay? He works out and he pumps you up. Let me just say that. Anyway, I digress. You got to check him out though. Okay, where was I at? I totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, serving sizes. Okay, so we normalize the amount of food that we're eating, right? When in reality, it is not normal. It's not normal at all. Let's use McDonald's for an example. So their small fry. If I'm not mistaken, feel free to correct me if I am. The small fry used to be the large. We have been conditioned that more is better. But listen, we need to learn to either make enough food for one serving or we need to learn to love leftovers. And we also need to learn to be okay with scraping our plates off in the trash sometimes. So, I'm going to share something personal here. It's kind of embarrassing to be honest with you, but I'm going to share it anyway. So, several years ago, I was having dinner at a friend's house. And after we were done eating, I was helping clean up. And I noticed that she'd left food on her plate. And I'm telling you, my brain was immediately like, there's no way I can throw that out. Like, I have to eat it. So after I made sure that nobody was looking, I totally finished her plate. Not even kidding. That is so embarrassing to confess. Anyway, it wasn't the first time I'd refused to throw it away. But it might have been the first time that I ever did that, or at least the first time I'd ever paid attention to it. And something about it was really bothering me. And so over the next couple of days, I kept thinking about that. And I finally sat down to process through it with the Lord. And I ended up processing through it with a friend. And what he showed me, it was so healing, but it was very emotional. I was equating that food with love. And so, like I said earlier, nobody ever had to tell me to finish my plate. I usually went back for seconds. And I especially did so when I was with my dad. So my parents were divorced when I was 3, and I had a very rocky on again, off again relationship with my dad. He was an alcoholic, he was an addict, and when I would visit him and times were really good, food was his love language. Like that's what he loved to do. He loved to cook, and he loved to cook for me, and I loved to eat it. Barbecue, fried fish, fried bologna and egg sandwiches. Don't you dare gag at the last one I just said, because let me tell you something. You ain't lived until you've had a fried bologna and egg sandwich, okay? Now, I refuse to eat it today since I now know all of the ingredients in it, but When I was a big old girl, I loved me a bologna and egg sandwich, especially when my dad cooked them. So that day that I ate the food from my friend's plate, I couldn't get rid of it because in my mind, I was throwing love away. I was throwing something that I related to a good feeling in my life away. And I was throwing something that I'd always been so desperate to have. I was throwing it away. And it was even harder for me because my dad had died from an accidental overdose and I could no longer receive love in that way. I wasn't hungry, right? I didn't need the food. No one else needed it either. But I was emotionally eating because I'd tied that food to love and fulfillment. God had to show me that He was the only one who could fulfill, not people, not food, right? Okay, so back to the idea of wasting food. So when we convince ourselves that we can't throw food away or waste it, we're believing a lie, most likely, that's tied to something deeper. Is it really about wasting the food? I don't think so. It's about something deeper. You're worried about wasting, but you're not worried about wasting the right things. Like all the money that you're wasting on diets, or all the money you're wasting on counting points, wasting time refusing to be in pictures because you don't want people to see you, wasting time not pursuing your dream, ultimately wasting your life, right? I could keep going on that. It's time that we start worrying about wasting the important things, right? The important things, because we only get one life to live. And we have to get to the root of what's really going on. Is it because we've been taught to clean our plates since we were kids? Is it because we equate food with love? Is it because we've lived on such a tight budget for so long that we convince ourselves we're wasting money? It is time to start telling yourself the truth. It is time to find a new normal because the old is not working anymore. Not if you're going to move forward. And you can tell yourself, I'm okay. What I used to believe isn't what I have to believe now, right? Because we are in charge of changing our belief systems. We are in charge of changing our belief systems. Hey, friend, I want to interrupt really quickly to talk to you about mindsets, specifically our mindsets when it comes to food. That's been something that I've really had to focus on during the healing process of my recent surgery recovery. My mindset about using nutrition to heal my body. And I've been able to do that with the help of one of my favorite nutrition programs, the 2B Mindset. Founded by Alana Molstein, who lost 100 pounds herself, the 2B Mindset program is about just that, learning how to create an incredibly powerful mindset that will allow you to lose weight happily and keep it off for good. There are no prescribed meal plans, no focusing on foods you must cut out. Instead, it allows you to focus on everything you can have so you are the one in control. God created you to live an amazing life, my friend, and now is the time to start taking back what the enemy has tried to steal from you and start living fully. The 2B Mindset program offers simple guiding principles, tips, tools, and strategies that she and hundreds of other clients, including myself, have used to lose weight and keep it off. Everything about the 2B Mindset is sensible and, best of all, sustainable. So you'll not only know how to lose the weight, you'll discover how to keep it off. If you're interested in learning more, I would love to walk alongside you through this program and help you to stop dieting and start living to the fullest today. You can learn more at sundijoe.com/2bmindset. That's sundijoe.com/2bmindset. All right, now let's get back to the 4 signs that you may be emotionally eating. All right, number 3, eating to reward yourself. So rewarding ourselves, again, it's a learned behavior. When something great happens, what do we often do, right? We go out and we celebrate with food. And many times it starts in our childhood. Little Johnny did great today at his baseball game, so we're going to go out and we're going to celebrate with ice cream. Little Molly brought her C up to a B. We're going to go out for food to celebrate, right? Okay, now, hear me in this. I'm not saying we can never go out and celebrate. But how often is this the quick answer? And much of this is learned behavior. It stems back to our childhoods. We're doing what we've always done. We're doing what our parents did with us. We're doing what their parents did with them. We're not doing it because we want to be fat or make our kids fat, right? We've been conditioned to say, this is how we tell you we're proud of you, by feeding you. But what if we just said, hey, Johnny, hey, Molly, I'm proud of you. Like, what if we just said, I am so proud of you? And what if they believed it and that was the celebration? And we do it to ourselves too, right? Because Often we've believed so many lies about ourselves that we can't possibly believe that we can just be proud of ourselves and sit in that accomplishment. Instead, we have to prove to ourselves with food that we've accomplished something. At the root of that is a lie that we're believing. A lie that we need Jesus to show us so we can be healed from it and replace the lie with his truth. Okay? Listen to me, my friend. Listen, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute. You deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to acknowledge your accomplishments. But how you do it matters, and why you do it matters. And let me just say this, if you haven't heard it lately, or if you are afraid to say it yourself, I am proud of you. Okay? I'm proud of you. All right, number 4, feeding your urgent cravings. So I want us to make a commitment to each other right now, myself included, that the next time we find ourselves running to food in urgency, we will commit to stopping, backing off, and asking ourselves why we're about to do it. Why do we feel this urgency? Why are we convinced that we need this? Why are we convinced that we should get this because we want it, right? Okay, and then we need to ask ourselves what is truly going to satisfy that hunger. If we see an apple on the counter but decide that we just have to have that bag of chips instead and we have to do it right now, we are not hungry. We're eating through our emotions, period. And it's in these moments that we have to step back and reevaluate. We need to ask ourselves, and we need to ask the Lord, okay, what is really going on here? What's really happening in my heart? What feeling am I avoiding? So the next time you feel the urge, step back and ask, am I really hungry, or is this something else? If you step back, you get to the heart, get to the root, and you're still convinced that you're just hungry and nothing else, then go for it. 9 times out of 10, though, I think, you're going to be surprised that it's probably something else. That urge that you're having is a sign that something deeper is going on. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore the deeper thing, because doing so is only going to make you spiral further and further out of control. I say this all the time. Addiction is the symptom of a deeper problem. And if we don't get to the deeper problem, food will always be our coping mechanism and we'll never fully experience the freedom Christ has for us. Whew. All right, off my soapbox now. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we have gone over today. 4 signs that you may be emotionally eating. Number 1, eating when you're not hungry. Number 2, not stopping when you're full. Number 3, eating to reward yourself. Number 4, feeding your urgent cravings. So I'm going to say this again before we close for the day. I'm proud of you. And you need to find something today to be proud of yourself for. I don't care how small you think it is. Go find it, okay? Find something to be proud of yourself for today. You will thank me later for that, all right? And if you're looking for some extra encouragement on your weight loss journey, I would love for you to join me over in my free private Facebook Diet Haters community. We're doing life together over there. We're sharing our wins. We're talking about our struggles. We're learning healthy coping mechanisms. We're sharing recipes. Of course, we even have some laughter along the way. I'll share the link to the show notes in that for you so you don't have to go searching, or you can just search Diet Haters on Facebook, okay? Come over, join our Facebook Diet Haters community. We would love to have you there. And again, if you would be so kind to share this episode with somebody else that you know who would find it valuable, I would greatly appreciate it. You can leave a review or a rating. Also, you can do that on Spotify too now, by the way, if you're listening on Spotify. All right, that is it for me today, my friend. I will see you in the next episode of the Diet Haters podcast. And don't forget, you are valuable.